Derbyshire Artsword. What's on?
Welcome to Derbyshire Artsword, a podcast focusing on the Derbyshire art scene in association with Belper Arts Festival. This week's Artsword is sponsored by the Ritz Cinema Belper. To find out their latest screenings, visit www.ritz-belper.co.uk and stay tuned for Ritz Recommends with Ashley Franklin. If you'd like to sponsor a show or feature in one, please go to artsword.co.uk. Here's our What's On Super 6 for the next couple of weeks. Starting at the Pomegranate in Chesterfield, The Signal Man, a play presented by Rumpus Theatre Company, is in the main theatre. Based on Charles Dickens' classic ghost story, it's been described as a blend of An Inspector Calls and The Woman in Black. It's an evening of old-fashioned spooky fun. The Signal Man is being performed from the 30th of January to the 3rd of February. Information on tickets can be found at chesterfieldtheatres.co.uk. Music will fill Buxton Opera House on the 3rd of February, when King Pleasure and the Biscuit Boys appear at 7:30pm. Rough, tough and always rocking. Since their formation in 1987, the band have played over 6,500 concerts and appeared on over 100 radio and television shows. Radio 2 blues presenter Paul Jones said that they are one of the hardest acts to follow since the parting of the Red Sea. For ticket information, visit buxtonoperahouse.org.uk. Gecko bring the wedding to Derby Theatre. From the 8th to the 10th of February, internationally acclaimed Gecko's new show is inspired by the complexities of human nature, the struggle between love and anger, creation and destruction, community and isolation. In a blur of wedding dresses and contractual obligations, their extraordinary ensemble of international performers guides audiences through a dystopian world in which we are all brides wedded to society. Combining movement, imagery and provocative narratives in the company's trademark style, Gecko's 7th touring production brings these contracts into question with an emotionally charged and spectacular performance. Adult tickets are £18 and are available from the Derby Theatre box office. Rise Like Lions comes to Derby on the 8th of February. Using music, song and video, the show weaves inspirational stories of workers' struggles. The Derby Guildhall is the venue, and adult tickets are £10.75. The brilliant singer-songwriter Dave Onions returns to the Railway Inn on Belper's King Street. You can see him and his distinctive percussive guitar style on February the 3rd from 9pm. To find out more about Dave, visit daveonions.co.uk. And finally, dramatic plays of light and a spontaneous reaction to its effect on nature and surroundings are themes that feature in the artworks of Martin Sloman at the Cromford Studio and Gallery. The studio is bathed in natural light, and the general public are invited to come in and watch him paint his strong and striking artworks. The gallery is open from Wednesday to Sundays between 10 and 5pm.
Derbyshire Artsword. The film review.
This is Ritz Recommends. Ashley Franklin previewing this week's films at the Belper Ritz Cinema. This week's main attraction is Ridley Scott's All the Money in the World, all about the kidnapping in 1973 of 16-year-old John Paul Getty III and the desperate attempt by his devoted mother to convince his billionaire grandfather to pay the ransom. Well, money has formed the backdrop to this film in another way, as it cost $10 million of the studio's money for Ridley Scott to reshoot the 22 scenes which originally featured the now disgraced Kevin Spacey, with Christopher Plummer assuming the Getty role. Who says you can't get a plumber at short notice? However, in Hollywood terms, $10 million is a trifle compared with the champagne truffles of its profit margins, and it's a hell of a lot less than the $17 million demanded in ransom money. You need to imagine what $17 million would be worth in 1973. When you consider that Getty was not just the richest man in the world, but actually the richest man in the history of the world, then you'd assume that the $17 million would have been paid, especially as the kidnappers threatened to dismember bits of the boy in stages until the money was paid. However, Getty said he had no money to spare, and this is why Ridley Scott decided to dramatise this story. By all accounts, a tense, ticking clock thriller coupled with this fascinating study of a misanthropic, egomaniacal billionaire. Interestingly, Christopher Plummer was apparently Ridley Scott's original choice for the role. The studio persuaded Scott to cast the bigger star. Yet look how it's turned out. Plummer is up for a Best Supporting Actor Oscar. Though there is just as much acclaim here for Michelle Williams as the kidnapped boy's mother, and by all accounts she brilliantly depicts this woman's helplessness, fear, courage and tenacity. The film overall has been praised as a poignant epic, as well as a telling comment about the corrupting power of wealth and greed. That's All the Money in the World on throughout this week. On for one night only, this Wednesday, a live satellite screening. All the politics, violence, love, cruelty and sacrifice that is contained in Tosca, Puccini's tragic opera. Well, this Tosca is a Royal Opera House production, directed by Jonathan Kent, and on its 9th revival, so no question about its popularity. The critics, for one, have applauded this production, sumptuously staged, says the website Culture Whisper, and sung with giddying passion. Now, if you haven't tried opera before and are thinking of giving it a go, then this Tosca screening might be the one to attend. I'm told that for newcomers, Tosca is the perfect gateway opera, as it's fast-moving, quite a nail-biter, and it's veritably stuffed with music. And not only that, one critic says the Covent Garden Orchestra here reveals the glorious depths of Puccini's music. Plus, you have this feted aria, Vissi dat. Well, another fascinating aspect of this opera Tosca is that although the story takes us to Rome in 1800, you have classic modernistic elements. A power struggle, authoritarian rule, street brawls, knife crime, mass imprisonments, deportations and executions. And you don't need to get any more topical than a major villain who is described as opera's ultimate sexual predator. It doesn't exactly make Tosca sound a bundle of laughs, but in terms of drama and spectacle, it looks unbeatable. Tosca, a live satellite screening this Wednesday at 7:15. As for other screenings, the Ritz this week gives you your first chance to see Pitch Perfect 3, described as infectious and enjoyable, if, that is, you're a fan of the franchise, and your last chance to see the black comedy The Party and the classic whodunit Murder on the Orient Express. You've been listening to Ritz Recommends. Next week, not one but two of the biggest films of the year, The Post and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Derbyshire Artsword. Featured musician.
my name's James Oldrini. I guess people best know me as a contemporary composer. I basically write piano scores and upload them onto DSPs like Spotify and iTunes and all the other platforms you can think of. So Enlightened's been out for almost a couple of years now, and it was my debut album. First time I've ever really done anything in that kind of style, and I'd always wanted to try and write thought-provoking contemporary piano scores. So one day I just sat down and started writing and soaking up the inspiration that's around me, such as where I live. Never short of inspiration with living in Belper and the surrounding areas, and you've got the Peak District as well on our doorstep. So yeah, it's just based around the things I see and pick up on, and a lot of like emotion went into the Enlightened album. I think at the moment you can hear a track called Circle in the background. Again, I really enjoy playing that one live, although I don't really do many live performances, but I will talk about a performance that's coming up very shortly. And my latest piece of work is a little EP called Time and Spaces, and again it's about taking the inspiration about where I am. So every morning I wake up and I draw the curtains back to this amazing view of a windmill set on the hill, and it looks very beautiful up there. And so the EP is really based around that, and the Huge Windmill Society actually let a videographer, James Reader, and I go in there and put together a little video for the track Windmill on the Hill. So please do head over to YouTube, or you can find it on Facebook as well, and go and have a little listen and a little look at that video. I also run a publishing label called Strophic Music. We basically pitch and provide music to BBC and ITV content. When you consider that we're up against the likes of EMI and Warner and all the other big labels out there, it's really nice to know that we're putting out great material that the main production companies in the UK would want to use our stuff as well. And I've been lucky enough to get some of my own production music onto TV, and also, I get just as much as a kick in getting other composers' music onto TV and into productions as well. And I'm also involved with starting up a commercial publishing label called Strophic Music Publishing, and that's involved with working with bands and artists and seeing if we can sort of further their careers by using music publishing as a vehicle to go on and be more successful in music.
See the light, the flashing right before me into my eyes. The music rushes through me, and I can feel the earth moving tonight. I'm alive, a burning desire.
So as well as writing contemporary piano scores, I also love writing commercial music. That's really my background, I guess, and I really enjoy, getting lyrics together and developing it into a track, especially if it's radio friendly and commercial. A guy called John Stamp and I, who works with me on Strophic as well, we like to write music together, and we're working with Georgie Workman, and she's from Matlock, and we're kind of developing her sound and style, and hopefully we will have something to show for it, and very soon actually, with the release of her first single. So I'm enjoying writing with other people, and especially focused on the commercial writing as well. So as well as publishing music and writing music, I'm also a sound recordist, and I've got a little project called Article Recordings, and it's basically an opportunity for people to record their life stories for loved ones to cherish forever. And I basically go out and record an audio biography. It's a bit like, putting pen to paper, or instead you're putting your voice to tape, even though it's digital. So there's that, and also we're very into helping create podcasts. So we can provide a facility for people to record podcasts and upload those up to iTunes. And also very useful for people wanting to build up sort of literacy portfolios. So if you've written a series of poems, stories, spoken words, then I'm your guy to come and record it, because I've got some really great equipment. It's all portable, and we can record it on location or in your armchair or wherever. And that's really led me on to doing a little project called Derbyshire Artsword, which is what you're listening to at the moment. It's going to be a great platform for people in the arts to showcase their work, and get their voice out to people beyond their normal bubble, if you like. And Artsword will develop into something a lot bigger than it is now. So I hope you're enjoying the podcasts so far, and I think this may be the very first one, though I've got some visuals as well, which is a main aspect of the podcast that we are putting forward. So I mentioned that I'm going to be doing a live performance. Well, this is going to be quite a special one, really, because this performance is remembering a local man called Charles Edwin Stone, and he was awarded the Victoria Cross, and he's got family and relatives that are coming out, I think it's from as far as Australia, to come and watch and take part in this this ceremony that's going to give him the recognition that he deserves. So I'm going to be performing a new track, which I'm still yet to write. I've invited cellist Hannah Bars to join me, and together we're going to write a track together. So it's going to be kind of soundscapey and interesting, and hopefully have some visuals that go along with it, and it'd be quite a special occasion, and I'm really pleased to be involved in it. So that takes place on the 21st of March at St. Peter's, so just keep looking out for more details on that one. If you'd like to find out a little bit more about me and what I do, please head over to joldrini.com, or visit my publishing label, which is strophicmusic.com. If you want to take part in Artsword, head over to artsword.co.uk, and please just go and check out some of my music on Spotify and iTunes, and see what you think.
Derbyshire Artsword. Spoken word.
Have I told you I've got an allotment? There's always summat to do. Well, there's making tea for a start. Then there's a fry-up, 11s, studying racing post, and gardening. There's never less than 6 on us on allotment. There's always a brew on, and we were having a natter about Olympics when Eric comes hurtling into the shed. Oh, I forgot to say about shed. Sheds are the last bastion of male liberation, where men can be men and talk about football, cricket and horse racing, without fear of being asked it, "Do you like these curtains?" Anyhow, back to Eric. "Have you seen her?" "Seen who?" I asked. May Martin. She's in Jack Woodward's shed." "In his shed?" Me, Stan, Bert, Jason, funny name for he's younger than us, and Charlie burst out in unison, "What's O doing in his shed?" "I'm none sure. Bro's got his dibber in her hand." "At this time of year," Bert said. We nodded. There was somewhat odd going on. You see, you put your dibber away in May, and you wouldn't get it out again until happen February following year. To get dibber out in August, and on top of that, let somebody hold it, well, it's not done. For that handler to be a woman, well, I'd never heard like. I have to say we were a bit smot-ravelled. We didn't know what to do, but at this point in proceedings, May Martin walked past. Had this big grin on her face, and what looked like Jack's dibber in her hand. That were it. Fuse were lit. We jumped up as one and hurried over to Jack's shed. We stormed in, and you could tell there was something wrong. Jack's sitting in his deck chair looking right sorry for his sen. He looked straight at us when he said, "What have I done? I've let a complete stranger handle me dibber." "It's worse than that," I said. "You've given it to a woman. What's thou Millie going to say when O finds out?" "She munna find out," he yelled. "In 40 years of marriage, O's never so much as touched me dibber. Come to think on it, she's never seen me dibber. If she finds out another woman's had it, I'm done for." Well, of course, word got out and Millie nigh on murdered Jack. It were no surprise that she went round May Martin's and laid low down. "If you want to use my Jack's dibber, at least have courtesy to refrain from doing it in broad daylight. I know men are daft beggars and that, and they're easily led, but please, if you must use his dibber, do it at night, preferably in the dark, like I have for these past 40 years. Somehow I don't think we've heard the last of Jack's dibber.
Derbyshire Artsword.
An article recording